Hi, this is Claudia Filos, and I'm here today with Greg, and this is Office Hours. So, Greg, today we're going to talk about our hour six discussion question. Shall I read that?
Yes, and we've talked a little bit about it, and I was so impressed with the level of engagement and with the perceptiveness of the way so many of you out there read these beautiful pieces of literature. But I kind of like to hear how it's all put together. So yes, please do.
So just to orient ourselves, in H24H 6 section 30 and following, I study situations in Homeric poetry where a chariot driver in place of a chariot rider, or to say it in colloquial English, where the driver takes the hit for the rider.
Yes.
Then in 4 very short studies that I posted in Classical Inquiries, and we give the link right on the post,
That's right.
I study some variations on this theme of taking the hit. The dates of the 4 postings, and we give them, don't worry about that. For the moment, have a look at the first one of these postings dated May 1st. How does the case of Mērionēs here influence your thinking about the case of Patroklos himself? When I consider the discussion questions for hour 7 and 8, I will return to these 4 postings with some further angles for you to consider.
And could I say already that one particular response that I enjoyed was by Jim, and I forget the numbers. I think the last number is 6.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, 3996. Jim, 3996. And you, Jim, set up 2 parallel columns juxtaposing Patroklos on one side as the therapon, the ritual substitute of Achilles, and on the other side, Mērionēs, this Cretan prince, who's the ritual substitute, this time a different word, opaon, of Idomeneus, the king of Crete. And I think the part that I really liked in your vertical columns, showing the similarities and the differences, is how, of course, Patroklos does take the hit for Achilles in the sense that Patroklos dies for Achilles, whereas Mērionēs does not die for Idomeneus. And then you, Jim, noticed a big difference between them, which is that Patroklos is one of the best, maybe the best of all chariot drivers, whereas Mērionēs seems to be one of the worst if you take literally what happens in the funeral games of Patroklos in scroll 23, where Mērionēs comes in, for all intents and purposes, last.
Awesome. And so we also wanted to just mention again, we had one of our community members, Loverland, remarking on really how extraordinary it is for the Center for Hellenic Studies to be publishing this thesis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I like the way Loverland put it, is how can you, Greg, call something that was written by a college student 30 years ago a masterpiece? But that's what happens. That's what's so beautiful about this field, is that an intelligent and inquiring person can take something as complex as the Homeric Iliad and really make it come alive and make you see things that you've never seen before. And that's what happened to me when I read Ellen's thesis. And this can happen to you. It can happen to any one of you readers. And by that I mean you could notice something that, for example, I haven't noticed. And here I'm counted back not 30 years. I was pretty advanced in age already when I was thesis director for Ellen, but much longer, 40 years, 45 years, I've been working on this. And there are things that I don't notice till the moment when I read, for example, something that somebody says. For example, what Jim 3996 says about how Patroklos is the best charioteer and Mērionēs is the worst, and how that surely must correlate in some way with the fact that Patroklos does die for Achilles, and Mērionēs does not die for the counterpart, Idomeneus.
Right. And so I would just encourage everyone, if you haven't had a chance to read these articles that are on classical inquiries, it's really an amazing way to explore new facets of this role of the theropon, and to kind of take your reading on that concept deeper. So if you are really intrigued with these hours, I hope you take a chance to read those. And then if you want to take the next step, go ahead and read Ellen's piece, which is really amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And the full text is available for free on CHS.
In fact, I'm hoping to show some of these discussions to the late Ellen's husband, who understandably can't get over losing Ellen, and who was so gratified that this aspect of her life can come back to life again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm definitely going to show this to Bill.
Great.
He'll be thrilled.
So can we move quickly to Achilles now? Because
Yes.
We have several really engaging discussions in our community right now about Achilles, and we know that he might be a hero that is hard to connect with at this point for us moderns. So one of the questions I'm interested in was posted by Achilles as Hero, and Mary27 posted this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to read the whole post because we have limited time today, but she really asked, I think, an intriguing question, which is, how could Achilles pray for his people to suffer pain and be hurt in battle with the Trojans and still be considered heroic?
I think the best way to think about this is that when Achilles says anything, he's not only thinking about his situation back then in the Trojan War, he's also thinking about his status as a cult hero in the period when people are listening to the Iliad. In that period, people are going to the region of Troy as pilgrims and making sacrifices to Achilles in his tent, which is really a shrine place. And Achilles can easily think back and forth from his status back then, when he is the chief warrior, the most important warrior in the Trojan War at certain moments, and then forth, how people worship him centuries and centuries later in what we like to call the post-heroic age. In terms of the post-heroic age, it is a disaster. It's a cosmic disaster. Our mutual friend Leonard Milner would say it's a cosmic sanction, that the kind of insult that Achilles got from Agamemnon has to have a reaction. So when he prays for that reaction, it's just praying for the cosmic order. I can't morally justify the idea that a warrior at a given time and place would wish for something bad to happen to his fellow warriors. But Achilles is thinking diachronically, and surely he then does have great remorse for the responsibility of letting his best friend die, which is the result of precisely that prayer. So it's not that the narrative justifies for him as a warrior what he did, but the narrative does justify the fact that the kind of dishonor that he receives, looking forward to his status as a cult hero, is such a violation of everything that's right, that in a sense he is, and I'm not being an apologist or trying to justify behavior at a given time and place, but it certainly justifies the plot line of the Iliad. Literary critics would call this focalization, where a character speaks not only from the vantage point of who he or she is at a given time and place, but also what the people who are listening to the narrative should take away from the narrative. It's almost like second guessing the master narrator. That's what Achilles is doing. So please understand, this is not an apologia for Achilles at a given time and place. It's an understanding of how this very complex figure can second guess, may I say it this way, the plot of the Iliad.
I'm thinking about two other things as well, Greg. One is that we also have the prayer that Achilles makes as he's sending Patroklos out, in which he specifically asks that he come back safely.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you can see that there are very good intentions there.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I just want to point out a couple of other things that happened down this thread that I think are very helpful for the community in general, for the whole rest of this project. One is that Sarah has pointed out 3 characteristics of the hero.
Yes, I'm so glad she repeated that, because it's very important to foreground that as much as possible. And remember how the hero is unseasonal, that the hero has extreme mood swings, can we say it this way? And then third, that the hero has an antagonistic relationship with the god or goddess who's most like him or her. And I'm glad that Sarah foregrounded it again.
And also, Pat 3 has pointed us towards this idea, that the Achaeans have also wronged Achilles, right? It's not just
yes.
Agamemnon.
Oh, yes.
And I know Lenny, who I had the great pleasure to study with.
This is Leonard Milner.
Yes, Leonard Milner.
Yes.
We'll talk about how
Yes.
when in this gift culture, what would happen is
Yes.
sort of the rewards from sacking the city would be sort of put in the middle, and then that would be distributed by the people.
Yes.
Right? So when the gift is taken away, it is taken away by the people, and they don't interfere with that process.
But another thing that I liked about Pat 3's comment is that as I was reading it, he was already reacting to other people's comments, and I like the conversational and dialogic aspect of what Pat was saying. He didn't just say what he said out of the blue, but what he did say is, look, it's not just the aggregate, the people that Achilles has let down. It's specifically the leaders who should have spoken up. And who know they should have spoken up, and we see that very clearly as things move along. And even Agamemnon has to admit, as things move along, that he was wrong. Why didn't people speak up? This is a moral problem that we have today as well. So often is something horrible happens, and then there's a lot of head scratching. Well, why didn't the people rise up? Or why didn't the elites speak up? It's not something unique to this particular culture. So as you can see, I really liked not only what Pat 3 said, but the context in which he said it. And that's what I like about these conversations, is that they do connect with each other, they link with each other, they help me see things differently many times, just as I hope that you see things differently as you engage in these conversations.
And just so one final note for now, which is that on Friday we did have what we call a meet and greet hangout by Google Hangout.
3 hours.
Yes, I know. We originally scheduled it for an hour.
I love it.
And it just went on for 3 hours. People kept joining, and the conversation kept going. It was an amazing experience. So that was really just our first testing. We were just testing the waters. But that was such a success. I want you to know that we will be scheduling some more of those in the future. So we will be posting about that in course info. We will be mentioning those in the emails that go out on a weekly basis. I hope you'll join us in those. And also maybe we can have an opportunity to have some reading hangouts. So during a meet and greet, you would just kind of get to know your neighbors, your fellow community members. But during a reading hangout, we might get to sit and read some passages together, the way that we read them here.
And when we read, it doesn't just mean I read to you and you read to me. It means stopping often and interweaving what we've just read together with our immediate reactions, and then trying to see how those immediate reactions will connect with later reactions. And in that kind of situation, everybody revises, including me. So it's revision.
Oh, I love that.
So the meet and greet is really a chance to rethink
Mm-hmm.
as well as just think.
Great. Okay. So thank you. Keep an eye out for that, and we look forward to reading more of your posts, your questions and comments in the discussion board. We appreciate your time,
Yeah.
and please keep up the great posts.
Yes, and keep them coming.